This is Jewish Board Talk with Cherise Zefford, only on 101.9 Chai FM.
The 29th of June, 1941, is a day that Lyonell Fliss will never forget. It has become known in history as That Sunday, and for him, while he was only 6 years old and living in the town of Iași in Romania, it changed his and his family's life forever. That Sunday saw Romanian Jews being rounded up and murdered. Around 15,000 Jews were killed in a pogrom and its aftermath. Fliss and his family survived. Earlier this year, on the 29th of June, the 81st commemoration of the massacre, Lyonell Fliss was presented with the title of Honorary Citizen of the City of Iași. Lyonell joins me now to tell me of his remarkable journey. Lyonell, welcome and thank you so much for joining me.
Well, it's a pleasure for me as well.
Lyonell, that Sunday, your mom saved your life 3 times, although at cost to her own safety. But as a 6-year-old child, things changed for you forever. How did the little boy in you make sense of what happened?
I was born in Iași, a capital city of a province of Romania. I believe that not very familiar to South Africans. Romania is a country in the southeastern of Europe, and Iași is a historic capital of Romania, a city that now is the size of Cape Town, but then 81 years ago had a population of about 100,000 people, half of them Jewish. It was one of the main centers of Jewish population in Romania, which was the 3rd country in Europe as far as the number of Jews. Iași was a city of culture, of history, with many universities and theaters, churches, palaces. But at the same time, Iași was one of the centers of anti-Semitism before the Second World War and during it. It is difficult to understand for many people why such a cultural city may be so anti-Semitic and so cruel. But this was the case. Romania also was an ally of Hitler during the Second World War, so this added to the anti-Semitism in Romania and particularly in Iași. The Second World War on the Eastern Front started on the 22nd of June 1941, and a week later, on a Sunday, that remained in the history of the town and of its people, particularly the Jews, as that Sunday happened one of the biggest pogroms of the whole Holocaust, when 13,000 Jews, possibly even more, were massacred in that day and the days after. In that Sunday, I was living with my parents in a block of flats in Iași, and I was just 6 years old. When we heard the noises of shootings in the street, crying and shouting, my mother realized that is a pogrom, and we hid under the bed in our flat, but eventually we were found out, discovered by German troops, which were located with their comrades in arms, the Romanian army, in Iași, were marched in the street, hands up, to a place called the Central Police Station, the Questura, in the center of Iași, where was taking place the massacre. The fact that I and my parents survived is due to the humanity and heroism of a Romanian young officer who took us out of the massacre with the risk of his life. The rest of the Holocaust we spent in Iași, and afterwards we moved to Bucharest as refugees during the war. I studied and I worked in my profession as a civil engineer in Romania until I escaped from the communism in 1969, went to Israel, and from there to South Africa. Child who went through that terrible event, tragedy in Iași, had a very important part in my memory and my life, because I realized first with the eyes and the mind of a child that something terrible happens without understanding it. And during one day, I matured and saw the same crimes, the same tragedy with the eyes of a mature man. This influenced all the rest of all my life, because it's not normal to mature in one day and to lose the innocence of childhood so far.
It seemed very fortuitous that 81 years later, you were invited back to Romania and were honored with the title of honorary citizen of the city of Iași. And that happened on the 29th of June this year. What was it like going back?
It's not that I was invited to receive this honorary title. I was invited by the Jewish community to give a lecture with memories of my childhood in Iași. And I chose to present an essay that I wrote from my memoirs about what happened in that Sunday, seen by the eyes and the mind of a 6-year-old boy. It seems that the audience was mainly Christian, because the Iași Jewish population, it's reduced now to about 300 out of 40,000, was received very emotionally by the public. Some people started even to cry. And there were voices who requested the organizers of this conference to ask the mayor of the city to award me the title of honorary citizen. The organizers did it, presented a proposal, attached to this my essay with the memoir, and the mayor read it and immediately submitted for approval to the town council, which voted in unanimity, award me the title of an honorary citizen of the municipality of Iași. A few days later, after I arrived back to South Africa, I received a message that the title was awarded, and they invite me to receive it on a very special day, on the 81st commemoration of the pogrom in Iași. And the place, I couldn't believe, would be the stage of the National Theatre, which is a very well-known place in Romania and even in Europe as one of the best-looking theaters. For me, it was a very big honor, so I took the plane back and I attended the ceremony. The ceremony was commemoration ceremony took 3 parts of one day. In the morning, it was a memorial at the mass graves of the 13,000 victims of the pogrom, where I was asked as a survivor to give a speech, attended by all the authorities, local and national and international. In the afternoon, it was a televised interview with the Yash television channel, and in the evening took place the award at the National Theatre with the attendance of all the authorities, a 1,000-seat hall full to the last place of local people, and the mayor awarded this award to me. I felt very emotional, remembering that 81 years ago I was marched on the streets, hands up, at blunt point to the execution place, and look, after 81 years, what difference happened. For me, this was very important, because in the atmosphere, general atmosphere in the world, and particularly in Europe, of rise of anti-Semitism, this ceremony and this recognition of what happened in Yash was like a beam of light in the darkness of hatred. And this is the reason that for me it's important to present this event to the Jewish community of South Africa, and actually in general to Jewish people, that we still have friends around the world, and Israel was recognized there as our place with big honor. Before the concert that followed the award, it was played Hatikva. All these emotions that I would like to share with you are for the sake of promoting a vision of, I think, of all Jewish people, not only in Yash. We have to do everything possible that such a pogrom not happen again. I think that this message was very well understood by the people of Yash, by their authorities, as the mayor said exactly the same thing, that we should not forget what happened 81 years ago, that one of the biggest pogroms of the whole Holocaust in Yash, and to do everything and learn the lesson to not happen again.
Lyonell, I think we have a great gratitude to you for ensuring that the memory of what happened continues, and also to highlight that you were able to show the people of Romania that of their own history, because I understand that not everybody in Yash was willing to accept the history of their parents and grandparents, and probably or possibly did not know about it. Lyonell, your story, there is a memoir of your story in the Jewish Affairs Journal, where it describes how you were too little to keep your hands up and both your parents had to hold one hand up. And it's a very beautiful and poignant memory. Obviously, we can't go into all that has happened to you in this interview, but if anybody would like to read that story, they are welcome to do so on Jewish Affairs, which is online. And I'd just like to say thank you to you for joining me and for sharing your story, and also to congratulate and thank you for what you've done for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.